Hey guys, it's Amanda and Barron, and we are back again with Kicking Cancer Cares on KSLM Radio. Our sponsor for the second half is Marianne McNally. She is a residential real estate specialist with Next Home Realty Connection. So if you're looking to buy a home, sell a home, or just not really sure where to start, definitely give her a call at 503-409-4389. And you just gave us an update, so please keep her in your prayers, you guys. She sounds like she needs them.
Yeah, her hair has grown back.
That's good.
She had long blonde hair,
Mm-hmm.
and now she has shorter silver hair, silver and gray.
I love it.
But she's
Little salt and
she's
pepper.
rocking the
Way
salt
to
and pepper.
accept the
Yeah.
silver.
Yes.
She's definitely accepting the silver. But now she's in her 9th line of treatment.
Mhm.
How does she battle this cancer? She's just gotten really smart about not wanting. And I think that's such an interesting statement because cancer is a living organism inside of our bodies that's trying to kill us,
Yeah.
and we're trying to kill it.
Mm-hmm.
And what I always find intriguing is one of the primary ways of dealing with cancer is chemotherapy. So we're putting poison in our body
Mm-hmm.
to kill a poison that's in our body.
Yes.
And it seems like a double-edged sword, but that kind of played into your story, if I remember right, Sarah. You got to a point where
Hey,
you were
I gotta tell you though, I gotta give a shout out to Minnesota.
Oh yes,
Because
during our commercial
I gotta
break.
tell you, I'm originally
I
a
almost forgot
Minnesota
that.
baby.
Yeah.
I was born and raised in Baudette, Minnesota, and that's at the Tip Top Chimney. And I was just talking with Sarah about the state of 10,000 lakes and. Birthday. So
Should we
I'm
just become
super
best
happy
friends?
Yeah, I think we just became best friends. That's so awesome.
Yeah,
I'm really glad to meet you. I'm really glad to hear your story.
it's good to be here.
It's
That's
just
for sure.
amazing.
I'm just guessing if you were in the very tip top, there's a reason why it was called Minnesota. A lot of
You,
snow.
you picked that
I
up.
picked
huh?
that up.
Good for you,
I
Barry.
picked up what you were dropping
That's
there.
right. What I was throwing, the
You want
snowball
your
that
snowball,
I
I
was
caught
throwing
that
at you.
snowball.
We're here
Yeah.
all week.
But the other thing we were talking about in the last half of the show was finding purpose
Mm-hmm.
for our pain, whether that be a personal pain in Sarah's case or in DeDe's case, what her son went through. For me, it really tied in a lot to last week's show because last week Jason Conrad talked about being a suicide survivor.
Mm-hmm.
And we touched on the reason mental health means a lot to him because he had got to a point in his life where he said people loved me more than I loved myself.
Mm-hmm.
And he found a really remote place and he sent a goodbye text out and he slit his wrist. And they were able to track his phone and saved him because he says people love me more than I love myself at that point. I wasn't at that stage, but after Brenda got her diagnosis, I began dropping into a pretty deep depression myself. So when I knew she was doing better and I was doing better, we just did something together, the Warrior Dash, right? We just did the Warrior Dash together, and I've told that story a number of times, but after we did it, I called her and I said, you know what you're doing to stay alive, we could share that with people. And the two of us began to find some purpose for her pain.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even realize how much it was finding purpose for my own pain.
Yeah.
Right? And my pain was similar to your pain. It wasn't the cancer like Brenda dealt with.
Mm-hmm.
It was the bond that we have as a brother and sister and the pain of what she had to go through.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But how did Jonathan's experience for you to find purpose for you, DeDe?
Yeah, and I've kind of shared this as well, just being a mom and being in the hospital with my son, supporting his wife, Becky, and my two grandsons, Jax and Jude. And it becomes a family. It becomes a family effort to support the family that is going through that, right? And acceptance becomes the mantra for propelling you into those very next things. And so when Jonathan was in the hospital, you know, we were in the oncology unit. It was one color of brown. And we were walking down to the children's unit and it was just bright and beautiful. And of course it should be, right? But Jonathan just said, Mom, we could do better. Like, cancer can't take our salvation.
Mm-hmm.
Cancer can't take our memories. Cancer can't take our, you know, our hope. And we could get refrigerators and microwaves and sleepers into these adult oncology units and just make it a little bit more comfortable. And talking to his wife Becky, and that is how Cancer Can't got born. It got born out of the hardship of my son experiencing something doom and gloom and very hard, coming to that point of acceptance and saying we can do better, and there's something that we can do for other people coming behind us.
Well,
So-
and you made an announcement last time that I just it's created a vision for me, because Cancer Can't is about 5 years ahead of Kicking Cancer. You just had 10 years, we just had 5 years, but it started with painting some walls.
Yeah.
Except, what's Cancer Can't doing now when it comes to actual apartments?
We are building a 22-unit apartment complex near the cancer supports that people need, so that families and individuals can come and stay for one night or 2 weeks at a time, whatever it is that they need to do to be able to land, rest, restore, keep the family together, be close to their cancer, not have to drive home while they're puking, not have to worry about gas getting back, because cancer is very expensive. It's very hard on a family. They can wash clothes, they can have food delivered, and we got a $1.5 million grant to start that. And we're in a big campaign right now. You can go to Cancer Can't on the website, and you can find out how you can help with some of those things.
CancerCant.org?
It is.
CancerCant.org.
Okay.
Yeah,
That's
so
exciting.
Well,
It's
and
very
initially, I mean, that is such amazing news, but initially, your son's diagnosis led to the act, the Pharmacy Act,
Charitable Pharmacy.
Charitable Pharmacy Act up in Washington.
Yep, where
Yeah.
medications could get turned back in and then redistributed. We have a transportation, getting people back and forth to treatment, and helping with groceries and grants, and the Christmas program where families going through cancer can get Christmas presents when it is such a very, very hardship financially, as well as parents that can no longer be with their kids. Those children can get Christmas presents from their parents, and so it's just really important to find that purpose for the pain.
And I would venture to guess, if you had gone back 14 or 15 years ago, before Jonathan was going through this probably wasn't a vision that you or his wife Becky or any of those had. And unfortunately,
No.
Jonathan had to go through what he went through, but you guys have really created something amazing because of it.
Yeah.
Now, I know for Sarah, this is all really new. You said you're at your one year anniversary?
Yeah, back last November was 1 year since I got diagnosed.
A year and a half.
Yeah, year and a half. There was a phrase earlier we talked about, acceptance and hope. How does that resonate for you at this point of your life?
I accept I had cancer. I can say I had cancer
Good for
at
you.
this point in time. As
Good for
of
you.
February 14th, funny enough, Valentine's Day, I officially am still cancer free.
Yay!
So
That's
I can
amazing.
say I have accepted that this is a part of my life now, because neuroendocrine can flare up at any point. Again, cancer is just mutated cells.
That's right.
This cancer lays dormant in your cells, and so depending on a stressful situation, or again how you live your life and eat, it can come back at any point in time. And so I accept that it's there, it's part of my life, and I hope that I can continue to go on and not have to worry about it, but also I push it to the back and live my life. I can't let this cannot control my life. This will not control my life.
Good for you for saying that.
I am me. I am unique. I am the storm, and I will not let this break me.
Right on.
Good for you.
So
Good for you.
powerful.
Right on.
Yeah. Good for you. There's Robin on our board. Okay, Robin's the president of our board, and she's a breast cancer survivor, and she does an amazing job with words as you met her. And she has a phrase, and I love it. She doesn't say that I'm a cancer survivor, because that phrase in and of itself still gives cancer some power in that sentence. She said, I survived cancer.
That's so
Yes.
awesome.
I love that.
That's
And
so
she moves the word cancer to the very last word in the sentence.
Yeah.
And he says, just psychologically, I survived cancer, not I'm a cancer survivor. It sounds like a little bitty thing,
Yeah.
Yeah.
but
But
it
it's
makes,
just so
and you just, I mean, there was power in your voice when
Yeah.
you said it.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
cancer does not have power over you.
Yeah. Cancer
is-
can't take
cancer
my
can.
hope.
Can't take
Yes.
the hope. Can't
Yeah.
take the hope.
Mm-hmm.
What
And
was,
I have a couple other stories that I just really hope can resonate with individuals out there. I was a really good friend with a guy in high school. His name was Marty Shelley, and he and his wife were high school sweethearts. But in our senior year, Marty got testicular cancer.
Yeah.
And went through all of the treatments, and then we would get back together during reunions and different things like that. And in that time, Marty and his wife Carrie were just really outdoorsy. They loved to ride bikes and do things. Well, they found Fred Hutchins Cancer Research does this 100-mile ride called Obliteride, where
Ooh, I love
you
that.
obliterate cancer. Marty and Carrie started training to ride 100 miles every year, and every year they would find sponsors, and in and of themselves, just with that couple, they would raise like $7,000 to $8,000
Wow.
for Fred Hutchins Cancer Research. Well, this last year, Marty was on his Obliteride. Every year he puts my son's name, Jonathan, on his forearm, and he rides. He finds the purpose to ride for other individuals, because his hope is that Fred Hutchins is going to continue to do all of this miraculous and amazing research, and one day that we can just, kick cancer's ass,
Yeah.
right?
Mhm.
And just find a way to obliterate it.
Yes.
Well, Marty was riding his 100 miles this last year, felt a lot of pain in his side. They went in to go find out what that pain was, and found out that he had, I'm not going to be able to, abdominal sarcoma, phlegmoric abdominal sarcoma. He began intense chemotherapy, and had the best doctors on it from Fred Hutchins, right, up in Seattle, and went through 9 chemotherapies, just got done with surgery 4 weeks ago. They had shrunk enough of the margins, lost a kidney, lost part of his pancreas, lost a lot of weight, but last week he wrote me and said he is also cancer-free.
Oh my gosh.
And he plans on getting back on the bike
Yes.
and riding for Obliteride. Yeah.
That's awesome.
And I'm just so grateful. I'm so happy when people survive that. I'm so grateful that there is the research out there, and that there are individuals that find purpose in their pain, right? To just say, I can't do the research, but I can certainly raise some money so that research can be done. So this is a shout out to Carrie and Marty. And because of my story, I met and I meet other moms who have lost their children to cancer, and I do grief counseling. And a year ago, I met Mary Gardner, and her daughter, Tisha, had just died of cancer. And
You know these people? No.
Mary and I got together and we talked about the grief process, and she asked me a lot of questions about Cancer Can't. And she was very, very new in her grief, and losing an adult child who had left behind 4 other babies, that Mary stepped in and said, I have to raise my grandchildren. They have lost their mom. And so Mary and Tisha's siblings moved those grandbabies into the family home. But to find purpose for their pain, they also have established a nonprofit called Tisha's Garden of Hope Foundation. And it is a daycare for families who are going through cancer, where children can minimize the trauma that mom is going through in the cancer treatment. Some fun things can start happening, some therapeutic act can start happening, and educating the community on what happens to a family when those particular kinds of things can go through. Tisha's Garden for Hope is now a new nonprofit. There is that daycare. There's a lot of activities going on. But it is a way to honor Tisha. It is a way for legacy to happen. And I'm so proud of Mary for finding purpose for her pain, right? And the community, Olive Garden is something that sponsors Tisha's Garden for Hope.
Oh, wow.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Did you know Tisha?
I know
You just
her
reacted when she mentioned the name.
because it was, so my husband went to school with her, and then I have friends in the area that were, one of my friends, Lindsay, was actually side by side with her and went to her chemo treatments with her, and
Okay.
so I got to watch her journey on Facebook.
Yep.
And see her babies, and
Yeah.
my friend Lindsay still posts pictures. She goes and visits her gravesite
Yes.
and takes the kids every once in a while for sleepovers. And
So important to create a legacy, so that all who come behind us find us faithful,
Yeah.
right? And those children are going to learn not because their mom is present, but their mom is making an impact in other people's lives. Not because Jonathan is present, but Jonathan's sons are seeing that their dad is still making an impact, right?
Well, and one of Jonathan, it was really fun. She went to visit her grandsons sometime back, and she November, and she asked if she could buy some hats. And at the time, I had one yellow hat left, and you sent me a picture of your grandson because yellow is bone cancer.
Yes.
You know, so he proudly wears that hat in honor of his dad.
Yeah.
Right.
Purpose
Purpose.
for his pain,
For his pain. Yeah.
because it's impacting everyone.
Oh yeah.
And you know, again, I want to circle back to last week's show because we did talk to Jason Conrad about that basketball game that happened recently.
Yes.
And in fact, I'm going to try to get a hold of Tisha's Garden because I can see where Pathways and Tisha's Garden could easily work together. But it was so fun to watch Silas. Just, you guys might not know this story, so I'm going to give you a little quick recap. But our current person that we were just finished supporting, single mom here, her whole family lives out of the state, California, Texas, Georgia. So to try to do a really effective go-team was going to be difficult because there was no one to work with. But she had stage 3 lung cancer, and single mom with a 10-year-old kid who is now just scared.
Yeah.
So we brought our Pathways program to work in alongside him, which really was what she really, really wanted. Well, the culmination of all of our activities was this cancer awareness basketball game that Jason Conrad puts on every year. Except Silas got to go out to the court before the game actually started, and he did the ceremonial tip-off, not the ref. And so he's wearing his white Kickin'Cancer shirt for his mom, and here's Damo on one side, and they actually had somebody come out from the other team. They had to kind of say, this is what we're doing and why we're doing it. But here's Silas, and he tosses the ball in the air, and Damo tips it, and they get this little photo op. And I get a text from Roxanne the next day, and she said that memory will never leave that kid.
Oh gosh, never.
You know.
Never ever.
No.
So she's still going through her challenges.
We don't know.
We
We
don't
don't
know.
know what someone else is going through. And our stories of us surviving our storms can help someone else survive their storm.
Yeah.
And Marty is an example of that, and Mary Gardner is an example of that. You are an example of that. You are an example of that. You are an example of that. And something amazing is going to come out of this.
Well, and I will
Already.
What is intriguing to me is as after our show goes to podcast, I'm able to go back and look at some data, like how do shows do, right? And we had a guy call in a few weeks back, Robert, who called from Vancouver, Washington, and his friends didn't hear the show at the exact time. So I went and listened to the podcast, and I called him. He was so thrilled because his show set a record for the most downloads in a 2-day period of time. 45 people listened to his show.
Okay.
Well, when I talked to him, he didn't think his story was that big of a deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but the reality is he beat prostate cancer, and now he's battling through colon, and we're stepping in and trying to help him out.
Mm-hmm.
But so often we don't realize the impact that our story has on somebody else. And I'm just being a little prophetic, but I think the power in your voice when you said that will impact somebody.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
We have another person who is sitting in the corner with his hand in the air. Paul, get a little closer to the microphone. You've got a thought here, I can see it.
Just really quick, it's not only we don't know what we don't know, but it's also shows like this that help people realize that
Yeah.
you're not alone.
You're not alone.
And there's other people battling the same thing that you're battling, and that's a lot of support in and of itself to know that you're not alone
Absolutely.
in the battle.
Yep.
Well, and for those listeners that just heard that fifth voice in the room,
Find your community.
yeah. So it was because of Paul, who lives here in Kaiser, that he reached out and said, you really need to get a hold of my friend Sarah, who was in Minnesota, and Paul really kind of connected us, and I'm really glad he did. But again, ladies, just thank you for all you're doing and your story, because I know somebody in the world,
Oh, yeah.
and I mean that literally,
Literally.
somebody in the world is going to hear this and be impacted. We have been walking our listeners through a little timeline, and it's always amazing. Amanda has said it's so interesting how my little timeline matches up so often. Because all I'm doing is I just have this little journal, and it's like, well, this is what happened in the timeline to match the show. Except on June the 20th, 2021, it was Cancer Awareness Weekend at the baseball stadium, and we were just getting started with a brand new Go Team campaign. Her name was Doreen Davidson, and we did these bright pink shirts. She had breast cancer, these bright pink shirts, and it had her name on it. And a bunch of her friends really, really wanted to support her. And it was summer, so they also wanted tank tops. We had t-shirts and tank tops. And the baseball stadium said, not only the survivor can come for free, anyone in their family can also come for free.
Wow.
And I have never seen as much support as Doreen's friends. She had 25 of her friends.
Wow.
That's awesome.
25
I don't
of
even
her
know if
friends.
I have 25
You
friends.
do. Oh, girl, you've got a following you don't even know about.
Yeah, well, they took a whole section of the baseball stadium, all wearing that bright pink shirt, to watch Doreen throw out the first pitch
Wow.
at this baseball game.
That's awesome.
And we had to do a couple things I don't want me to do. I mean, I can customize shirts as small or as big as you want. She says, can you get a shirt for my granddaughter? So I got a child's small. It's like as small as I could get. And we got a wonderful picture of her granddaughter eating some ice cream, wearing her bright pink Kickin'Cancer shirt for her grandma,
Yeah.
who was battling through it. Just the
I love
community and the support was just so powerful. And unfortunately, Doreen has passed from the cancer, and her sister has found purpose, because her sister was really close with Doreen. And it was really hard for her sister when she passed away. But all of these stories will make an impact on somebody's
Yes.
Oh,
life.
yeah. Having support can really make or break your journey. I
Yes.
think having the support is huge.
Yes.
No matter what it is.
Yes, exactly.
No matter what it is, right?
Depression, anxiety, trauma, suicide,
Everything across the board.
everything
the support
across the
system.
board. We do better together.
Yes.
Well, I always make an offer to the listeners, and typically the offer kind of matches our stories.
Yes.
But here's the deal. If I did an offer for Jonathan, it would be a yellow shirt. Now, yours is actually zebra. Hers actually doesn't have a color.
Oh.
No.
It is a
Because it's
zebra.
that rare.
Because of how rare it is, yes.
Oh.
There's a couple different things that go on with it. And neuroendocrine cancer is as rare as a zebra and a herd of horses.
Okay.
Wow.
So my offer to the listeners, the next person that emails Amanda at,
Amanda at kslm.news.
just tell Amanda what color you want. I'll send you whatever color you want.
Oh, wow.
Just email
That's
Amanda,
awesome.
because we have so many cancer colors represented in this
Representation
room
today.
that I don't want to pick one color. The next listener, I will give you a free shirt and I'll ship it to you. Just let us know.
Oh,
and
wow.
if you are in Minnesota,
Snowda.
I will ship it there too.
Oh, that's amazing.
Snowda.
Thank you guys all for coming in. This was
Yes.
a great.
It was
I
really
yeah,
good
this was
show.
awesome. Okay, so huge shout out to our, excuse me, our sponsor for this first half, which is Marianne McNally. She is a residential real estate with Next Home Realty Connection. So if you're looking to buy a home or sell a home, definitely reach out to her. She is your go-to girl at 503-409-4389. And we'll be back next week
As the movement continues.